Hello everybody! Welcome to another video from Code Source with Profanis. In this video, we will see a new feature of Angular 14, and this is the functional router guards. It's very important to understand when the guards run in the routing life cycle, so this will be the first thing that we will examine. And then we will see the class implementation of the guards versus the functional implementation of the guards. Specifically, we will see the CanActivate, CanActivateChild, CanLoad, and the new guard, which is the CanMatch. So, let's get started. This is the application, the small application that I have prepared for this video, and all it has is this kind of menu, and we have the dashboard, the products, and the admin. Both the dashboard and the products are standalone components, and if we click dashboard, we see that we have here this title, and if I click products, the only thing that we have here is the products, and the admin is a module, and actually this is a lazy load module. And if I click this, we can see that we have the admin component, and then we have a nested router outlet where we can see this dust area where I have another menu item, which is the admin stock. And if I click, we have the admin stock, which is rendered inside the nested router outlet. And if we check the code, we will see, let me close this, we will see that we have the pages admin, dashboard, no access, and also we have the products. And this is my app routing module. And I am importing the router module, of course, for root, and then I have my routes. So let's go directly to the routes to see what we have. And here we can see that we have an empty path, which renders the dashboard component, and then I have the path products, where I'm using the load component to lazy load this standalone component. And then I have here the path admin, where I'm using the load children and not load component. And the reason is that I want to lazy load this module. And then I have another standalone component, which is the no access component. So let's now go into the admin route module to see what we have. And what we can see here is the admin dashboard component, which is again another standalone component, and the admin stocks component, which, guess what? This is a standalone component as well. And router module for child. In the routing module, in the app routing module, I will do the following. I will provide one more option here, and this is the enable tracing with the value true. And now let's go to the browser to see what we have. As you can see in the console here, we have a lot of events. So let me clear the console, and I will click now products. I will scroll up, and as you can see, we have different router events, navigation start, route recognized, and many other things that going on here. And the same goes, of course, if I click admin or if I click the dashboard. All of these events are very, very useful, and actually they tell also a story, the story of what is happening with the navigation, what is happening with the route navigation from the moment the user clicks a menu item. I know that all of these events are many and hard to understand, so I will try to make it easier for you to understand and digest. Let's imagine that we have this routing configuration where for the path product, we want to load this component, the products component. The first event that emits is the navigation starts, and is the moment where Angular tries to match the given URL with the routing configuration that exists in the application. So say that the user tried to access the products URL. Does this path exist in the application's configuration? Yes, it does. So the flow moves on. Then we have the router state recognition, and the actual event name is not exactly like that, but this is close enough. And at this level, Angular recognizes the URL and prepares the URL tree and many more. We then have the child route activation, which is the moment that Angular initializes the component that is meant to be rendered in a nested router outlet. And the next step is similar to the previous one. In the router activation event, Angular initializes the component that is meant to be rendered in the main router outlet. And these are the difference between the child route activation and route activation. The former initializes the component for the nested router outlet, whereas the latter initializes the component for the main router outlet. We then have more events, and last but not least, the browser's location is updated and the user can now see in the respective router outlet the matched component. This is the flow for the eager load modules or standalone components. Or in general, we can say that this is the flow that is followed for the routing configuration that currently exists in the application. But how about if we have lazy modules? The process is the same, but we need to load the new module, download the new module, and merge the existing routing configuration with the one that would have been just downloaded. And this is happening in the load route configuration. Now that you have understand this flow, let's see what is happening with the guards. The CanActivate guard runs close to the route activation event and prevents the user from accessing the requested path component. The CanActivateChild guard runs close to the child route activation event and prevents the user from accessing the requested children path component. As you can see now, the CanLoad guard runs very early in the flow, and this is the reason why we cannot use the CanActivate guard to prevent loading a lazy module. The CanActivate runs later and the loading of the lazy module happens earlier. So with the CanLoad guard, we can prevent loading a lazy load module. And then we have CanMatch, which is a new guard in the Angular 14, and this is great because it runs really early in the flow. With CanMatch, we can prevent loading a lazy module, or we can even have two paths with the same name, and based on a condition, we can load one or the other. Since we have already seen the details about the guards, I will now remove this configuration and let's start working with our conditions. At first, we're going to prevent loading this component, this path products. And for this, we can use a CanActivate guard. At first, you know what, let me close everything. And what I'm going to do is the following. Here, I will create a new directory. I will name it guards. And inside here, I will create a new file and I will name it is logged in guard. So export class, this is going to be my is logged in guard, which I will implement the CanActivate. Let's also have here the injectable, and I want this to be a singleton one. And for this class, I want to implement the interface CanActivate, and this is the default interface. This is the default implementation. Let's start by saying I want to return just true. No more than this. Return true. Nice. So let's now use this isLoggedIn guard and use it here into the path products. I will use the CanActivate, and into the array, I will use the isLoggedIn guard, and of course we'll have to import this. Now, if we go to the browser, we will see that if we click the products, everything works as expected. How about now, if I, instead of true, I'm going to return false? Again, into the browser, I will click dashboard, we can see dashboard. I will click products and nothing happened. And the reason is that the guard prevents me to access this path. But this is not a real life scenario. A real life scenario is to have a condition based, for example, a user state. I have prepared here an auth service, which is no more like is logged in and returns either true or false. So let's try to use this as well. I could copy the auth service. Let's close this. And here into the constructor, I'm going to use the auth service. I'm injecting it. Let's import this here. And now let's try to use this. So return this auth service is logged in. And again, this is false, which would prevent me accessing the products page. And it seems that works just fine. But you know what? It would be better also to inform the user that something happened. So how can I do this? I will do the following. Inside the pipe, into a tab operator, and I want here to navigate the user to a different page. And the page will be this one. Where are my routes? Will be the no access. So let me close this again. And to do so, I have to also inject the router here. And again, private router. And here is my router. And I'm going to be like this router, navigate. Where do you want to navigate? In the no access page. So this is, let's say, my complete implementation of my CanActivate, my is logged in guard, and the CanActivate implementation. And now, if I click the products, as you can see, we have been just redirected to no access, which has this message. And of course, now, if we change this implementation is logged in from false to true, I expect everything to work as expected. If I click products, we can see still that we are not authorized to access this page. And of course, the reason is that I have an error in my code. And the reason is that I'm navigating no matter what. So I have here to have a condition. And the condition will be, if the user is not logged in, only then I want to navigate the user. And again, let's give it a try. This is true. And now if I click products, we can see the product page. Nice. So this is the class implementation of the CanActivate guard. How about now the CanActivateChild? Can I use the same? Yes, we can use the same, and we can be like CanActivateChild, even into the same one, into the same class. I'm going to implement this interface, and I'm going to use the exact same code. And I will use the code here. Since I have now the CanActivateChild here, I will close everything and I want to go to my routes and specifically into the admin routing module, and I want to prevent accessing these children paths. So for this reason, I will have here the CanActivateChild and I will use here the isLoggedIn guard. Let's go to the browser, and if I click admin, we can see that here we have the admin and the admin stock. And if I click the admin stock, we can see that we are successfully accessing this page. But how about now if I change the implementation of isLoggedIn to false? Immediately we are redirected to no access, but let's give it a try. Again, I'm clicking admin, admin stock, and we are redirected to the no access page. Nice. So this is the implementation of CanActivate and CanActivateChild. How about now if we want to prevent loading the module? Let me show you what is happening here. I will open the developer tools, specifically the network, and let me reload the application, and I will now click the admin. As you can see, we have just downloaded the lazy chunk, which is the admin routing module, and we want to prevent downloading this module if the user is not allowed to. And for this reason, we have to use the CanLoad. Again, I can use this one, the isLoggedIn guard, but this time I'm going to have the CanLoad. So let me implement this interface, and inside the CanLoad, the only thing that I want to return is a true false. So this is what I want to return. And now the isLoggedIn is false. And if I immediately use the isLoggedIn guard into my routing configuration, we should expect not to download the module. And how can I use this? Into my routes, into the admin section, I will use here the CanLoad. And I will paste the isLoggedIn guard. As we can see here, we have the CanActivate, and here we have CanLoad. Now let's go to the browser, clear everything and try to access the admin. And nothing happens. And of course, we do not even see here the module, which is what we expected. This is great. Now let's try to rewrite all of this code, and instead of using the class implementation, I'm going to use the inline functional guards, or otherwise functional guards. Let's start step by step. Let's start small, and progressively we will try to rewrite it completely. So with the new functional implementation, this is how we can use it, how we can simplify the guards. With the CanActivate and with this inline function, we say that, you know what, you can access the products. Now let's go to this page, and if I click products, we can access the products. And now if we turn this to false, we no longer have option to access the product. Nice. But this is not our case. Our case is that we're going to use the auth service and specifically redirect the user. At first, I can do this again in line, and I'm going to inject my auth service, and for my auth service, I'm going to use my isLoggedIn. And let's see, the isLoggedIn has false, which would prevent us accessing the page. So if I go here again and click products, nothing happens. But if I change now the isLoggedIn from false to true, I expect to have the option to access the products. Yeah. So this is the first approach of how to make it happen. But as said previously, this is not what we expected. And since here we have the isLoggedIn, we can be like, okay, I'm going to have here my pipe and so on and so forth. And we can now use here our condition. But you know what? If I use the condition here, the guard won't be any more reusable. So let me grab the code from here, and inside my guards, I will create just a new file and I will name it index.ts. And here I will have my export const isLoggedIn guard, and I will name it with function. And this is going to be a new function. And the implementation will be something like this. I'm going to inject the auth service, and I'm going to return this. And then into a pipe, and specifically into a tab operator, and if the user is not logged in, I'm going to redirect the user. And the redirection requires a route. So let me inject this route here. So this is my router, and now we can be, if the user is not logged in, then router navigate to the no access page. Nice. So this is the implementation of functional guard. Let's give it a try. Let's use it here, and I will replace this completely. isLoggedIn guard function, and let's import it and give it a try. Dashboard products, everything works fine, but if I now change the isLoggedIn from true to false, I expect to be redirected to the not authorized page. And of course, here we can also have the CanActivate, but this time function, just to make it strict. And as you can see, this implementation, if we compare it now with the isLoggedIn guard with the CanActivate, you know what? To be fair, let me delete everything from here, even this, and now let's try to compare these two. I will have them side by side, and as you can see, this is something like 33 lines, and this is 11 lines. You can tell the difference, and this is more readable. The functional approach is definitely more readable. So this is my isLoggedIn guard, and currently we have checked the CanActivate, CanActivateChild, and also the CanLoad. And the same thing happens here into the CanLoad. We can use here the same approach like this one, a functional, either true or false. Now, with this true, we will be able to access the admin, but how about if I change this to false? We cannot access the admin page anymore. Nice. Now let's see the CanMatch, which is, like I said previously, the CanMatch runs really early in the life cycle of the routing. And for CanMatch, I'm not going to create a class implementation. Let's directly use the functional approach, and I will start by saying true. So if I have this admin to true, let's see what would happen. I will open this into the console just to make sure that we have everything work correct. If I click admin, everything works just fine. But how about now if I change this implementation from true to false? Here we have an error saying that cannot match any routes. And the reason is that we try to access the admin path, but based on the CanMatch guard, the path no longer exists. Like I said in the beginning, this happens very early in the life cycle of the route. To make this work as expected, it would be better also to redirect the user to a different page. And you know what? Let's go here into the isLoggedIn guard, and I will copy this, and I will name this CanLoad guard. Or, not CanLoad, sorry, CanMatch guard. And this is my CanMatch function. Now I guess that if I use this CanMatch guard function here, it should work. Let me also update the import. And now let's go to the browser to see what we have. Specifically, I will go to the network and I will try to click the admin. All we can see is that we have just downloaded the no access component, but we didn't download the admin module, which is really cool. And how about now if I want to have the same path, like this one, but provide here a different module or different component? Since I do not have another component, I will use product for now. Excuse me for this. So here I have the admin and I'm loading these children, the admin routing module, and I have my CanMatch guard. And on this one, if this fails, it will go into the next path with the same name, which is this one. And you know what? Let's this to avoid redirecting the user to the no access. Let's use here false. So I expect now to click admin and see the products, and this is it. And this is very cool because you can have the same path, and according to a certain condition, you can load one or the other. And now if I convert this to true, I expect to see the admin page. And this is it, my admin page. So that was it. Your comments are very helpful for me since I can understand what you like and what you don't and what you would love to see next. So please leave your comment, and if you want to help me further, share the video with your friends, and of course do not forget to subscribe and click the ring bell. See you in the next video.